Hi, I'm Elijah at Noteable, and I'm excited to introduce you to our new plugin for ChatGPT that allows you to create a computational notebook using just a prompt. So to get access to it, you'll have to log into ChatGPT, of course. This should look familiar to you if you've used it before. You'll need ChatGPT Plus for plugin access. Plugins will be up there in your models. You'll see plugins as an option, and if you've got plugins, then you'll install Noteable as the plugin. And once you've got that in place, then we can get to the meat of this, which is writing a prompt. Now, the first thing I do is I tell it which project at Noteable I'm using. And then I'm going to tell it what I want it to do in this prompt, which is I want it to load some data that I found. This is from the Museum of Modern Art. It's about the artists that they have in their collection. And I'm going to create this persona that says, hey, I'm a coordinator for a major art museum. I want to think about what we're going to feature in the next year. Take this data, analyze it for trends and anomalies based on gender, nationality, historical period. And remember that I'm not experienced at data analysis. So explain to me what's going on while you're doing it. Let's see what happens when we run this. We'll notice that it starts to use the Noteable plugin. And if we go over and take a look at that notebook that it's created in this project that I told it to use, we can see that it's already started to populate that notebook with a text cell and a code cell. So for those of you who aren't familiar with notebooks, a computational notebook is a collection of code and text, along with other functionality to allow you to connect to data sources, leave comments, visualize data, do all sorts of great stuff. And ChatGPT is using our notebook to answer these questions that we've posed as this coordinator at a major museum. So what it's done is it's created what's called a markdown cell to explain the analysis it's going to do. It's loaded some of the libraries that are necessary to do this analysis. And now it's started to load the data, and we can see the shape of the data. It's going to describe that data. And then when we come back to it, after a while, it's going to continue to build out this notebook. It'll let you know where the notebook is. It'll give you some sense of the work it's been doing. And the amazing thing about this is rather than just seeing all of this in the ChatGPT interface, is at the end of this, you have this artifact, this computational notebook that's interactive, that you can develop on your own or with a team. But once it was done with its analysis, I thought it would be interesting to add a little bit more. So I asked it to add a cell analyzing artists from countries that are majority Muslim. If we look at the results of that, it added some more code into the notebook. You can see that we've got this fully fledged notebook that's describing gender, describing nationality, and it's describing the periods, everything that I asked it to do. And in fact, it's showing the distribution of artists in a couple of different ways to answer that periodicity question. But when I asked it to narrow down and only focus on artists who were from majority Muslim countries, what it ended up doing was it ended up adding code to analyze the data based on a list of countries. And that doesn't match up with the code because what's in the data is actually nationality. So you'll see that it came back with a result of 0. But we want it to look at nationality and not the actual country of origin. So I simply asked it. I said, hey, it looks like you used countries instead of nationalities. Can you update the cell to use nationality? And after I asked it to do that, sure enough, it updated the code. It plotted the results, and it gave me exactly what I was asking for. And once again, an entire computational notebook full of analysis, data visualization, explanation, and I haven't written a single line of text in that notebook. So at the end, I asked it to add a cell to give suggestions, data-driven suggestions for how a museum should approach its exhibitions in the following year. And I also, something I find really exciting, I said add a bit of marketing flair at the end. I want it to not just give me this dry text, but also give me some sort of exciting call to action. And so sure enough, it gives me 4 data-driven suggestions for how to design an exhibition. And at the end of it, it says the world of art is full of endless possibilities, and at the moment, we're just getting started. It's hard to overstate how exciting this is. We've created an entire data-driven document, this computational notebook with text, with code, with analysis and visualization, all from a single prompt. When we've seen some errors, we've returned to ChatGPT to ask it to correct those errors or adjust it, or even to focus in on a particular part of the data. And it's responded by editing and appending to that computational notebook. And now I'm at the point where if I wanted to share this with stakeholders, if I wanted to share this with my peers to collaborate on it, to develop it further, I have it available to me to continue to edit and work on it throughout its lifetime. And while that application is exciting, I want to emphasize that this plugin isn't just for people who don't have experience creating notebooks or coding. For folks who are advanced notebook users, this will give you options that you might not have expected. This will smooth the process of creating that initial project so that you can focus more on the parts of the notebook and the parts of the analysis and the parts of the data science that really need your skills. I have an example here, a second example, that focuses on learning how to use a Python library. There's this word cloud library that I've always been very jealous of because I have a data visualization background, but my background's in JavaScript. And so I wanted to understand how could I use this library. And what I love about it is that it allows you to use masking. So for instance, in their documentation, it shows Alice in Wonderland, and then the text from Alice in Wonderland has a word cloud within that. So I asked it, how do I use this library? Speak to me as somebody who understands JavaScript and doesn't understand Python. And sure enough, it created this whole notebook. The notebook goes through the individual steps. The interface in ChatGPT explains to me what it's doing in the same language. It puts it into the notebook, and now I have this artifact from which I can work with so that I can use this library or libraries similar to this or workflows similar to this. I hope these two small examples have you as excited about this plugin as I am. And I'd encourage you, if you have access to ChatGPT plugins and you've never worked with notebooks before, to go and give the Noteable plugin a spin. Give it a try to create a data-driven document based on the problems that you're solving in your everyday life. And if you do use notebooks, I think this is a great tool to make your workflow more efficient and to help to generate more ideas. We put a lot of work into building this plugin, and we're excited to see how you use it.